Hello and happy Wednesday. Today on the Busy Bride podcast, I'm coming to you solo to talk about the grand December wedding debate. To be Christmassy or to not be Christmassy? That's the question that a lot of December brides face when they're planning their winter weddings. And it's totally a matter of personal opinion and style. So, I'm going to share with you some cute detail and design ideas from December weddings I've photographed, both Christmassy and not Christmassy. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to the Busy Bride podcast. I'm your host, Gabriella Marie, and I created this podcast to help you research vendors and learn valuable advice as you plan the most special and true to you wedding day of your dreams. Let's get started. All right, I'm going to be diving into the past two December weddings I photographed because one of them leaned into Christmas and the other one stayed strictly wintry. And they both did those respective themes very, very well. And I'll link both of those weddings in the show notes as well so you can take a peek if you want to put the visuals to this audio description. I will do my best, but sometimes pictures just do it better. So they will be in the show notes. Let's start with the Christmassy wedding. I photographed this wedding last year. Took place the first weekend of December at Mendenhall Inn in Chadds Ford, PA. And if you don't know about Mendenhall Inn, it's a great winter venue because the inside space is gorgeous, and that is a must for indoor weddings, obviously. It's cold here in PA. And the grand ballroom has a massive, beautiful Christmas tree with a grand staircase that wraps around the tree. So right off the bat, the venue itself is just giving Christmas in December. I photographed a wedding here in February as well. Actually, multiple February weddings there. And it wasn't as Christmassy, there was no tree there, but it was still a beautiful indoor space for multiple reasons. So yeah, Mendenhall Inn, very great indoor venue for the winter, and then Christmas time or December, it has that giant Christmas tree. So that was amazing. And then the colors of this wedding, the color theme, I think were pretty perfect for the vibes. So the colors were white, gold, and emerald green. And that emerald green was a huge part of the color scheme. The bridesmaids wore velvet. Velvet? Why does that sound wrong? I think it's right. I don't know why it sounds wrong. Velvet emerald green dresses. Oh man. And then the invitations they were white with green words and green accent colors. So, the little band that goes around the invitation to hold it all together, that was green with white words. And I think one of the little pieces, the reception details or something, part of the invitation suite was also green with white words. And then there were little gold accents all throughout. So there was no red in the color scheme. It wasn't a red, white, or red and green Christmassy theme. But any sort of red accent that just happened to be there throughout the day works really well with this color scheme. So there were red flowers in the Catholic Church where they got married, which I think is pretty common for Catholic churches to have red flowers. Poinsettias, maybe? I'm really bad with flower names, which is weird for a photographer, but I am really, really bad with flower names. I think they're poinsettias. They're pretty common in December for Catholic churches, the red flowers. They might even be in all Catholic churches. I'm not sure. Anyway, there were red flowers in the church where they got married, and it looked really good with the color scheme. I brought some little fake red berries as props for the detail flat lay, and that looked really good, especially because it just so happened that the floor for the hotel connected to Mendenhall Inn reception area had a marble emerald green floor. So the floor tied into their color scheme for the day, which was amazing. And so that those little red berries really popped and added to the subtle Christmassy vibes for the day. There were red decorations on the Christmas tree, both in the hotel lobby where we did the first look with the bride's dad and in like on the big massive Christmas tree in the reception venue. So the red there again played very well with like the green, white, and gold color scheme. Sorry, I have hiccups. And it was so like in thinking about that, it was really the accents of their surroundings that they welcomed in to this color scheme. And when I say they welcomed in, I don't think it was a conscious decision to be like, oh, we're gonna like rely on the background of, I mean, I don't know, I didn't plan it, but the background played really well. Like their surroundings played really well into their color scheme. Red flowers again, the red ornaments on the trees. There were even like cookies with red sprinkles on their cookie table because I'm pretty sure the groom was from Pittsburgh, and at Pittsburgh weddings, there's a cookie table, which is amazing. And I think you ask, I forget, I don't know who you ask, but you ask certain family members to provide cookies for the reception, and that's like the dessert. So it's a whole bunch of different cookies, all homemade, all delicious, I'm sure. And some of those cookies had red sprinkles, which again just kind of added to the vibes of the day. Um, the pajamas that the bridesmaids wore to get ready in, they were red and black plaid. So again, that's something that's like not really seen throughout the course of a wedding day, but in your photo gallery that you get back, you have those like red and black accents. Um, the father of the bride wore bright red suspenders with like little Christmas trees on them, which was so cute. And again, not something that you see in any of like the formal pictures of the day, but when the reception came around and the jackets come off to dance, that's when you see those fun like little Christmas details. I loved that he wore them. And I think it was like all those little details plus the surroundings that added to the Christmassy feel to the day. I think I remember the bride saying she wanted it to be subtle Christmas vibes. Like she didn't want it to be over the top, red and green, everything. Like I'm obsessed with Christmas. It was more just like, oh yeah, this is definitely a December wedding. Definitely in the Christmas season and the Christmas mindset during this, but it wasn't like way too over the top, which meant that the photos were timeless, which is always a good thing. Especially like the portraits and the formal photos that typically are the ones that get printed out and hung up around the house. Those are not overly Christmassy, and so they will work all year round, which is amazing. Big fan of this wedding. Shout out Jenny and Ryan for putting together such an incredible day. I had so much fun. They're amazing. Love them. Okay, moving on to a not so Christmassy December wedding. We'll use the term wintry here because this wedding definitely embraced winter vibes, but still remained like modern and classy and elegant. And this is actually a wedding I photographed this past weekend, which is cool. So all the details are fresh in my mind. The couple are newlyweds, and it was so much fun. So while the Christmassy wedding I just talked about included emerald green in the color theme, it's like one of the main colors of the day with white and gold as accents. This main color was black, and then the accents were white and gold. So very neutral, very modern color scheme. The bridesmaids wore black velvet dresses. The invitation suite was black and white and gold without any other colors involved. So even like the photo they used for the save the date was black and white, which I think was really cool because I feel like the only time you can make sure every single color in the save the date matches if you use a picture from your game engagement session, to make sure every single color in that photo matches your theme, as if it's black and white and your theme is like is black, white, and gold. So that was cool that was like super on theme and very like aligned. um where was I? Invitation suite, black, white, and gold. Yes. And even the reception details, like the seating chart, was all black, white, and gold. And even the photos on display for like the Generations of Love table and the guest book, it was all black and white photos with gold frames. I'm telling you, everything for this wedding was on theme and was aligned, which was a very seamless and elegant look. The pops of color, which there were pretty much only green. So no red. I think red is the main color that makes something Christmassy. And this green, the pop of color, pretty much came entirely from the florals. As I said, all the other color schemes for the day, black, white, and gold, that's it. So the florals, the greens, really did pop, but there was no red involved. When it came to the florals, then, the bride's bouquet, it included only white flowers surrounded by like pine tree greenery, and then it was all tied together with a black ribbon. So again, there's that black and white, but the green obviously came from like the stems of the flowers too. But that pine greenery was the only like extra greenery there was in the entirety of the florals for the day. So while the bridesmaids bouquets were very, very similar to that, um, the boutonnieres had pine in them as well, which I thought was a really cool play. I don't think I've seen that before, so that was pretty sweet. And then the sweetheart table had pine greenery surrounding it. Like there's pine greenery on the table and on the little arbor behind them. And then there's little like mini pine trees behind them. And all of that pine had little twinkle lights mixed into them, which I guess can be construed as Christmassy, but because there were no other colors, no ornaments, no red, no nothing, it really did just look very wintry, very pretty. I'm pretty sure there's even a little, like some pine decoration on the chandelier over the dance floor too, so that was really cool. So that pine was like a mainstay for the wedding, like that was the pop of color, it was pine. So again, very simple, but very elegant. The reception table centerpieces, however, they did not have pine, which I think was a great decision because it did not overdo like one specific ingredient to the floral design. Since pine was the main thing that was the pop of green, it wasn't like pine everywhere. It was still like little pieces of pine here and there. So instead, the centerpieces had like little bud vases with various white flowers that were included in the bouquets, alongside clear table number signs with black writing. So again, white and black. And then the cake was white icing with a black topper and a little bit of baby's breath for the decor. White and black. Very on theme, very simple, very elegant. And the cool thing about having green as an accent color and not part of like the whole theme uh, is that even the stems of the flowers felt like they belonged in the design of everything. Like it just, everything was purposeful, everything was there for a reason. And because there was such a strict color scheme that everything like aligned with, I think that's why there was no Christmassy feel to the day. So, major shout out to Jackie and Austin for designing such a gorgeous wedding day, and congrats on being married! So exciting. Okay, I think to sum it all up, the Christmassy December wedding felt Christmassy without overdoing it because it welcomed the Christmas reds and the Christmas colors and like little designs from the surroundings. And then the color scheme of green, white, and gold allowed for the surroundings to really blend into the photos and work really well together. Because in December, there are more often than not going to be Christmassy things around. And then the wintry wedding that was not really Christmassy at all achieved that by sticking to a simple yet classy color scheme down to the very smallest minor detail. So that's kind of how those two different weddings achieved their goals very, very well. And one more thing before I end this episode, I want to make one last note about velvet dresses because they're super common choice for winter weddings. I think partly because they're one of the warmest fabrics you can choose for bridesmaid dresses, and there's typically some outside photo involvement. And both of these weddings I just told you about had velvet dresses. So, velvet dresses in photos tend to lean on the dark side, like a really dark shade of whatever color they are, unless there's a direct light shining on them to bring out the true color. The way cameras capture light is different than the way our human eyes perceive light, which is a whole topic that I'm not going to get into right now. Very complicated, very cool, but it's just not the time at the moment. So, yeah, we're not going to get into that. but the color of velvet dresses will mostly be seen with direct light in cameras. So for the Christmassy wedding, using flash at the reception, the dresses very much looked velvet green, and for getting ready, use flash, they looked emerald green. At the Catholic church where they got married, because there were overhead lights going on, shining on them, you could see the green. But for some of the outdoor photos where they were in the shade or more shaded and there wasn't as much direct light shining on them, they looked darker than like the emerald green that they looked like in direct light. But I didn't think it looked bad at all. I think it looked really good. I think the cool thing about velvet is that it reflects color differently. So it really enhances where the light is shining, which I think is really cool as a photographer. I'm obsessed with light. So I think it looked really cool. But the reason I say this is that if you are really specific about the exact color and shade you want your bridesmaid dresses to look in every single picture across the board, then I don't think velvet dresses is the right choice for you. If you don't care and you're like, yeah, I can have some variation, like it's more of like a general theme, I'm cool with whatever, then go ahead, use velvet. Or you can do black velvet, even if you are specific, because it's just black, regardless of what kind of light is shining on it. So, yes, just wanted to put that out there in case you're considering velvet for your bridesmaid dresses. So, I hope you enjoyed this episode about winter wedding design because it's fresh on my mind from this weekend. And even if you're not planning a winter wedding, I hope you learned something about the color scheme for your day and how a strict color scheme or a more like open color scheme that welcomes surroundings can impact the vibes of the day and therefore your photos. But as always, want to drive home the point with this podcast, all this stuff that we're talking about, the design, the color scheme, the vibes, the details, it is all icing on the cake, and the cake is that you get married to the love of your life. So, that being said, make sure you share this episode if you have any winter couple getting married friends so that you can share in the goodness. And thank you for listening. I appreciate your time. Now, go hug your person, and I will see you next Wednesday.